Today I am going to preach. I never thought I'd do this. Never. On two articles on the front page of the New York Times. I don't know if it's spending time in purgatory, if I'm in purgatory. All right, let's see what we're talking about today. We're going to talk about Pope Leo XIV, and we're going to talk about AI. How's that, AI? And these are like two big topics, and the Pope is right on the cutting edge, because he realizes that AI is something that has to be closely looked at. Let's be clear about this. There is nothing wrong with AI. It's how we use it. So it can do some very, very marvelous things for us, and is already doing some marvelous things for us. On the other hand, like anything else, it can also be a curse if we use it the wrong way. Anybody familiar with AI? Okay, you go to ChatGPT and you ask it a question, and it gives you the answer that you want, or the answer that it wants to give you. So that's what we're going to take a look at. Okay, 3 parts. First part, this is because those of you who are here now are from a generation closer to my generation. How many remember somebody named Samuel Gompers? Who was he? Anybody remember? A labor leader, right? CIO, Congress of Industrial Organizations. And why did he come to prominence, and why did he start the Congress of Industrial Organizations? Well, as you well know, at the end of the 19th century, the beginning of the 20th century, we have what's called the Industrial Revolution. And really, it changed the world. It really changed the world. People left the farms, the rural areas, and came into the cities, and we have the big factories and manufacturing. And for a lot of people, it raised the standard of living. However, oftentimes people were being exploited by big business, being exploited by, remember that other group called the robber barons? Remember them? The robber barons. And there was a lot of exploitation of labor, and sometimes, oftentimes in the big factories, labor was not only exploited, but it was also a place where there was great danger. So you might remember hearing about, remember Sinclair Lewis, he wrote The Jungle? Remember the terrible conditions in the meatpacking industry in Chicago? It was a story. I remember reading that as a boy. Sinclair Lewis, he said in one scene that some man was working on the assembly line and he fell into the grinder and he was ground up with the sausages. It was called The Jungle by Sinclair Lewis. Also, some of you might remember, especially if anybody has a law background, famous case up in New York City, the Arrow Shirt Company, and factory went on fire because there were no good laws, no fire regulations, and many, many people were burned to death in that fire. So, okay, the church then takes a look at what's going on in the world, not just in America, but around the whole world, there's the industrialization, and the Pope says, we've got to talk about this. We've got to talk about the rights of workers, but also we have to be careful because at this time, workers are being very much influenced by communism, socialism. So the Pope says, I got to talk about this, and let's get a balanced view of how we use this industrial revolution. Guess what the Pope's name was? Leo XIII. How about that? Okay. This is the wonderful thing about our church. A lot of people say, how do you go to church? Don't talk about things up there. No, we don't. We talk about things right here, too. But sometimes when you do, people say, oh, that's politics. Far be it from me. Church worries about its people. The church is looking for justice and safety for the people of this earth. And so the Pope writes this magnificent encyclical called the Rerum Novarum. Okay. Now, we're going to try to connect this. We're not going to connect this with Pope Leo XIV because he took his name in memory of Leo XIII because he sees another revolution going on in the human race. We went from the Industrial Revolution to the techie revolution. We're now living in a digital world, aren't we? A digital world. The world has changed. The world has changed. How many of you here have iPhones? They've changed our life, haven't they? You know that picture on the iPhone that has like an apple with a bite taken out of the apple? I read this. Steve Jobs said that's the symbol because he believed, and he was right, that this iPhone is like being in the Garden of Eden. That bite out of the apple changed the whole world. And that this iPhone is going to change the whole world. You can't go any place without somebody having some kind of a phone, iPhone, Samsung, all these different brands. But just look at what it's done, the way information is conveyed to people. Just look what it's done to use the platform for X, all of these different things, and the apps, they've changed our lives. Sometimes for the good, many times for the good, and sometimes for the not so good, because sometimes the iPhones can get us into a lot of trouble, and sometimes they don't give us enough time even to reflect on what we're doing or what we're saying. Am I right? All right, let's go to the next step now. Next step now, we're living in this, as I said, this technological revolution. And this revolution also has to be managed. If we just let it go crazy, we can end up in a lot of trouble. So we have to manage technology to work for us, how to make us better people, how to make a better world. So let's take the next step. And this is with AI. And if we had to attach a face maybe to this, maybe Elon Musk, just attach a face to this. And this is a technological revolution that is going on. Sometimes technology, as good as it can be, we can oftentimes forget the human element. And when we forget the human element, sometimes we can forget what is for the common good of the human race. And so technology has to be managed. And you have people that only see materialism, the materialistic world. This was the same idea with the communists. Just manipulate reality to what you want it to be, and don't worry about the implications for other people, for the human race. You can see the great danger that caused. Look at what the communists did. How many millions of lives were destroyed by communism because they didn't care about the common good of humanity. They didn't care about the individual anymore. It was their plan. It was what they were going to do to make the human race in their image and in their likeness. All right. Elon Musk has done a lot of great things. Fantastic mind. Fantastic mind. Is it possible that he could leave out the human element? Oh, yes. That's very, very possible. There is a great book out about Elon Musk and all the great things that he has done. However, it also mentions that he is oftentimes insensitive to human needs. He just wants to get done what he wants to get done, using the technology to develop it. Using the technology to develop it, and sometimes people are secondary to the technology. Yeah. Let me just give you a few things that we have to be careful about. Again, don't think that I'm against technology or against AI. It can be and has done and will do marvelous things. All right. First thing is this: what can AI do to hurt us? AI can imitate us and make us look like somebody that we're not. How do I mean that? I have a friend of mine who's making a movie on a sister, a religious sister who passed away about 10 or 15 years ago. She died and they exhumed her body, Sister Wilhelmina. And they want to make a story of her life. So, well, how do you do that? They needed a picture of her from when she was a little girl. Get the picture? Oh, little girl. And then they used that picture, and they made it come to life. It made it look like she was alive. She's alive now. And then AI was able to take that picture and make it grow older and older as she progressed in her life and through her life. And you would say, that is Sister Wilhelmina. It's AI. It's phony, it's fake. Same thing I'm hearing about people. Hey folks, I'm telling you this because I care about you and I love you. Be very careful. These days, people are using AI to imitate other people's voices and their faces and their bodies. People are getting phone calls. They believe it's from some relative, a grandchild. They've copied voices and they make it sound like it's the voice of a grandchild pleading for money. They've also taken the voices of actors and actresses calling up senior citizens. They think we're stupid, and telling them that they're falling in love with them. And people get duped. It's phony. It's fake. So AI can be very, very dangerous. Be careful. The second thing is this. This is especially the case when it comes to something like, say, healthcare. AI is fantastic. You can put all the information into the computer, into the machine. And it can come out with a read as to what your treatment should be, what medicine you should take, what operation you should have, what equipment the hospital should use on you while you are recovering or not recovering. It's a readout. But it doesn't really know you. I was talking to some of the nurses, and they said, well, sometimes we get this readout and tells us what to do. And yet, there's nothing like experience. And we know that this is not the best thing to do. We've met people, we've seen people, we've treated people, and from our experience, intuition, human intuition, which is not in AI, we know differently. But they said we cannot allow AI to govern us. We have to use AI to help us, but not to govern us. Next point, AI can be used to take us over. How do I mean that? I'm not just talking about a bunch of robots pushing us around, although that's a possibility. Suppose an insurance company is using AI, and you're in the hospital. And the insurance company says, well, we want to know what is the prognosis of this person and what the treatment should be. And then the insurance company gets this back from AI, and the AI says, no, do not give them this treatment. And you know what can happen? You can end up dead. But a good doctor with intuition, experience, and compassion, and that's what AI does not have. It does not have compassion. Like they say about Elon Musk. Walter Isaacson, that's the book about Elon. Read it. He's smart. He gets things done. But when it comes to compassion, there's a little something missing. Take a look at that and think about that. The last thing is this. We've heard a lot about fake news. And, well, you ain't seen nothing yet regarding fake news. With AI, it can literally make the news up and make it look real. I just heard on the radio this morning, as a matter of fact, that they produced a radio talk show. People are calling in asking questions. There was not one human being on that talk show. It was AI answering the questions. What happens when it comes to news reporting? AI can make up the reporter, can make up the news, and make it sound very, very real. And AI then can decide which news is appropriate, which news is inappropriate, or which news it wants to give. That's how dangerous it is. Those are some of the caveats. Now, what about Pope Leo XIV? I like him. If it makes you want to see him, I like him even more. He's a White Sox fan anyway, so. He had Leo XIII in mind. He sees this new digital revolution. And he knows it has to be addressed. The Pope is the Pope for the whole world, not just Catholics. And I meet so many non-Catholics, pastors, and they say to me, what do you think of the new Pope? And I feel like saying to myself, what what do you care? You're not Catholic. But they do care. They do care. And one Protestant pastor said to me, we want a strong pope. He's a guide for all of us, and the world knows it. So we have a pope, Leo XIV, who I believe is on the cutting edge of this new technological revolution, and he will address it. And we must be supportive of him and listen to what he has to say. This is a new world that we are entering into. Make sure it is a world that is sensitive to the needs of human beings, and that the Pope can guide us to do what is right and just. God love you.